Yeah.
Good evening, Uganda, good evening, Africa. My name is Richard Kamia, aka African Thinker. We live from the People Power Media Center in the Diaspora. I greet you all. On the panel with me, I have a few gentlemen that are going to be tackling today's issues. You all realize that our country, Uganda, is going through a lot. You all realize that the country is being mismanaged. Citizens are getting ignored. People's voices are not being listened to. We have a nation crying. We have a nation in total turmoil. On me, I have two smart gentlemen. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us. You all look smart. Please introduce yourselves to our viewers. I'll start with Comrade Haruna. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello, Ugandans. Nice once again to be with you on this live. I'm by the names of Chiremi Haruna Farouk, youth leader, People Power UAE. I'm so glad and grateful to be part of this show, and I would like to appreciate your time, your efforts, whichever you are doing towards this struggle and towards our motherland, Uganda. And also, I do appreciate my fellow panelists who are going to take part in this discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Comrade Haruna from the UAE, Dubai. Next is Comrade Kingsley. Please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Yes, good evening, viewers from Uganda, and good afternoon, whoever it's afternoon and morning. My name is Kingsley. I'm a preacher of the great gospel of Jesus Christ. I live in Sweden, and I'm happy to be here. Also, thank you to my fellow panelists who are here together with us to discuss issues pertaining to our nation. Thank you very much, African Thinker.
Thank you so much, Kingsley, our preacher. We're so lucky. We are in a country that has lost lots of morals. I think we need you so much to instill morals into our people. And next is Don Charles from Sweden. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, our moderator tonight. My name is Donny Charles, the coordinator of People Power in the west of Sweden. And I'm so glad to be here again. I'm one of the pioneers of this Ready Friday. And whenever I come on the show, I'm always so much pleased to see that at least in Netafal Dienteka Kugwangali Uganda. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. To all our listeners, we want to be able to remind you that we from the People Power Diaspora Media Center, don't forget to be able to make donations to the movement. We are at www.peoplepower.org.ug. Comrades, as you know that our country is going through a lot, as you know that we are experiencing a lot of turmoil in our country, today we'll tackle a few of those issues. We know we can't say it all, but we'll try our best to be able to say something, to be able to speak to our people, to speak to all our listeners so that we can be able to find solutions, so that we can be able to go through the challenges we go through as Uganda. Remember, our mission is to be able to change the dictatorship in Uganda so we can have a free country. And on that note, I want to be able to start with Comrade Haruna from Dubai. Comrade Haruna, you have witnessed how Uganda has always been run. You have seen that from the time, I don't know how old you are now, I don't know, from the time when Museveni has been a leader, we have been able to see that many people with disabilities have been ignored. People like the albinos, the deaf, the blind, we have witnessed people being completely ignored by this regime. Comrade Haruna, with the coming of the People Power and NUP movement, how do you think that the People Power movement has been able to be accommodative of people with disabilities? Please take us through that.
Thank you so much, our moderator, Mr. African Thinker Kamia. Before I go further, I'm 29 years old, which means I'm a youth, and at least I've been among those who have seen what has been happening in Uganda at a tender age, and I think I have something to say towards this. But before I start, I think most Ugandans are asking themselves, what is people power? People power refers to the power of the people, whereby it's constitutionally given. When you go into the constitution and you see article number 1 states it clearly that the power belongs to the people. Therefore, here comes a question that says, how has the people power movement have been accommodative to the people or persons with disabilities? It has been witnessed all over in Uganda that under people power, we have been so accommodative, so friendly to these people in different ways. Take a look at this. Simplification of the communication. We all know that President Museveni has been addressing a lot of conferences since, just an example of the COVID-19. I think he took like 14 addresses or conferences, but he has never included these people with disabilities. If you go to our secretariat when our principal is talking, you see most of the time he's using this lady for the sign language. So this lady, she's helping, she's doing a great job to pass on the information to these persons with disabilities, the deaf, who cannot hear what we are saying. So we are trying to simplify the information to them to understand what we are saying, that, hey guys, look here, our country is under captivity. We need to fight together, we need to unite together. So to me, I see it as a great opportunity and as a good way of accommodating these people with disabilities, because we have not neglected them. They are part of us. Point number 2, in people power, we have seen that people with disabilities have been showed love. Starting from our principal, you saw when our principal went to Bujili, I think all of you saw a certain man who was in a wheelchair. He was handcuffed. The way he associated with him, the way he loved him, the way he hugged him, it shows that people power is really a welcoming and a loving movement. You get it, Ugandans, you understand that? So it's kind of love. Recently, when you go to Busabala, we saw there is a gentleman who was selling guineas. The one who came and approached the Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. The way he was smiling, the stories they chatted at that time, it shows that there was love, you know. So we people power, we are so loving regardless of someone's ability. You understand? My third point, the association with these people. We all know that these are our brothers, these are Ugandans, no matter they are disabled, we love them. We associate with them very, very well. Something like 2 days back, I think all of you saw what was happening at the secretariat, at the headquarters. Very many people came up. The people with disabilities, they came to pick the nomination forms, the membership forms. So it means that we are associating with them very, very well, which is not the same with the current government. They have been left out, they have been isolated, they don't care about them. Just an example, if you go in Uganda and you find buildings, these tall buildings, we always call them flats, but storage buildings, we call them in Uganda flats, two-man flats. It's very hard for you to find a flat with elevator. Why? So how will these people climb to go into the offices? It's always very hard for them. Go to our roadsides when you are going to Uganda. When you go to Uganda, you will never find a roadside which is having whereby this wheelchair will be, where the wheelchair will pass. But here, for example, in the country where I'm in United Arab Emirates, as someone with disability is given a best priority. In whichever way you will pass, whichever building, whether you go to the hotel, whether you go to the ministry, anywhere, those people are provided their special routes where they can pass because they are valued. So that's the same thing we need to bring in Uganda, which is not being done by the current government. Point number 4. We are trying to portray the importance of these people to the society. You all know the vice president of His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu before Butcherman. You know him, Butcherman. He was. I think I should just allow me to use that. He's a layman, not so. He's a layman. We all know that, but he was the vice president. You know, so he tried his level best to bring him, to show that people, however much you are disabled, but you are important to the society. As the saying says that being disability is not
inability.
Inability is not disability. You understand? Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Inability is not disability. So Butcherman was part of the crew of Firebase. The way he was treated, he was given the second position. But just take a look at what was done after being given the presidential advisor. I don't know, in quotes, I think it was an office in the polythene bag or in the bag that is the presidential advisor. See the way he was arrested and thrown on the pickup like nothing. A presidential advisor? Come on, guys. It's so ridiculous. When I look at such things, I wonder. Therefore, to me, as a People Power supporter and a National Unity Platform member, I really appreciate the way we People Power, we are handling this thing, the way we are handling these people, because we're really showing them that really they are important to our society. And that's why they came to our to pick the membership form and also to pick the nominations. Vis-a-vis the same issue that we are carrying out, the process that is going on, the election of the youth and the people with disabilities. They are being given platform because they are very important in our society and they are very important in Uganda. So on that issue, I give 100% to People Power under the leadership of Honorable Chapra, and they have done a lot. So actually, there are so many points which I could bring up, but sometimes due to the fact of time, let me just give such those points. Then also my colleagues also will come and say something about it, because it's too wide. If I start talking about it, even we can spend the whole night.
Thank you so much,
But before, just a minute, please. Before I submit, I really call upon all the Ugandans. Let's come together. Let's love these people with disability. Let's accept them. Let's give them. Let's hug them, because these are Ugandans. And let us all support Honorable Chabrani Sentamu for our next president, 2021, because he's the only man who will bring these people to the top. We have seen this government has taken nothing, doesn't care about anything about these people with disabilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Comrade Haruna from Dubai, for such a great presentation. From what you say, we realize that the president is such an accommodative human being. We realize that the president doesn't care who you are, doesn't care how you look, doesn't matter how disabled you are. It's just an accommodative principle. And I think Ugandans cannot wait to have such a leader. Talking about such a leader, that brings me to our next discussion. And recently, you have all realized that there is a plot by the Electoral Commission to be able to confuse Ugandans by taking them into an unreliable kind of election that they have labeled as scientific. We as Ugandans have been able to witness the chairman of the Electoral Commission, the ministers that belong to the ruling government, speaking to Uganda and communicating messages, sending out info to the public that is completely the opposite of what the Constitution says. We have witnessed them convincing people to completely forget about an open air election. We have witnessed them convincing people to completely think that there won't be a general election that we are always used to. Now, as this has been going on, there are so many Ugandans that completely disagree. Millions of Ugandans, millions of registered voters have already rejected this. Comrade Don from Sweden, please let us get informed from your comfort zone where you are sitting right now. Why should many Ugandans continue with the rejection of the scientific elections today?
Yeah, thank you so much, Comrade Moderator tonight. First and foremost, I'll just urge Ugandans, as of now, to right away reject this kind of scientific elections, because actually it is just working for the incumbent government. From the start, it is showing how it is unfair. to the opposition. It's like going to the race and you tie my legs and you want to compete with me. Why do I say this? You know very well that the opposition is not allowed to go and use the social media themselves that they are proposing for us to use the scientific elections. We have seen several times when Bobby Wine is blocked from attending radio stations. And in case he attends, at least there must be a human being or a Ugandan that dies. So for that matter, I really call upon Ugandans to reject this kind of scientific election because of its unfairness. We also know very well that it is so much discriminative. It discriminates between the rich and the poor. It means that it's only the rich people who can afford the radio, who can afford the social media, who can afford the data, even the social media tax that His Excellency actually, he still has his case, he still has a case to answer in the courts of law about the social media tax that he really resisted. And the government insisted imposing this unfair and illegal tax on the Ugandans, but now they want them to use the social media for the campaigns and scientific elections. Actually, I take that as being so much dumb of our government, and I call upon the Ugandans that it is now. And I also want to awaken the Ugandans' eyes that, you know, the signs have started showing that at least kasukari kanoze tuina just kuongera mu buongezi. I heard of just recently, I had President Museveni, you know, showing some signs of the late Robert Mugabe, a fellow dictator. I heard that some few days ago, yali ava kumadala, yali atambula, he was getting out of his car and actually he fell off. And at the end of the day, he had actually to expel all his bodyguards and is it the intelligence and so on, he thought they were part of the deal to make him fall down, not forgetting that he's just aging. So members, let's just add the sugar. Kasukari tuongere mu buongezi. It is also actually exemplified in other developed countries, actually that have even suffered more from COVID-19 than in Uganda. It is now in the US. Our role model. I will take US as an example. They are not using scientific elections. They are having open air campaigns. Why should Uganda, a very poor country, with a few people who can access media, accept that? But we have also seen that these people, the same people that actually signed these rules, or they get the directives for us to follow. We saw Dr. Acheng, the Minister of Health, to be the first person to disobey the law or the rule that they put in place. Members, is it really fair for us, especially in the opposition, to accept that kind of madness? It's really a big joke. We should say no to scientific elections. We have also seen, actually, I saw a video clip of President Museveni's brother campaigning in Arua. I mean in Mbarara, sorry to say.
Yes.
Gathering a lot of people. Most of them didn't even have the masks. Yesterday, I saw it in the news, Buket Day. President Museveni was it in Katare, in Kasubi, Uganda.
In Kasubi, yes.
Addressing a very huge congregation without even social distancing. Many of them didn't have masks on. For that matter, I call upon Ugandans first to get prepared that this election from day one, it has already, the government have already showed us that they are not ready to cooperate. They are not ready to conduct a free and fair elections. So we should just actually, for me, I call upon Ugandans in a nutshell, first to go and vote massively. So we overwhelmingly vote this man out of this chair. Two,
yes.
After voting, stay there and protect your vote. Because they have already showed us that now They are not ready to, these elections are not free and fair. So from now, we are now looking at two plans. First, we have, of course, to follow what the Constitution is telling us, because we as people power, we have shown that we are law-abiding citizens. We are first giving the government and the Electoral Commission, we are giving them a trial, their own trial. And this is a warning to Mr. Byamukama. Remember, Badri Chigund was used and is no more. Remember, he made a statement after that made him to be actually to resign from the Electoral Commission. Now it is your time, when the Ugandans are so much angry for change. So in a nutshell, Ugandans, we should know there is no any elections. They are just wasting our taxpayers' money. And let's be ready to vote for Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu as the next president of Uganda. But as the way the government and not even the government, actually Museveni, because our government is under his armpits, is playing us. We are not going to have a fair elections. It's
Yes.
not, it's out. So let's now be planning for plan B. Thank you so much, moderator.
All right. Thank you so much, Comrade Don Charles from Sweden. And on getting in line with what you just said, just to remind our viewers that for everyone who is watching us, we are donating at www.peoplepower.ug.org. Thank you so much, Comrade Don. On top of what you said, you know, I've picked interest in what you've said, and I've been looking at the statistics that exist right now. When you look at the country, the latest statistics show we have 292 radio stations. That is what we have as a country. Now, we need to be very honest with this, because we shouldn't just be politicking. Let's take politics away from what we're saying. Now, let's face the facts. We've got 292 radio stations as a nation. And as we speak, if you look at the current situation, when you look at the number of people that are contesting for political positions, we have over 2,000 people vying for political position. Now, tell me, if you have 292 radio stations, how do you sustain this? It's almost an impossibility. Actually, it's an impossibility. If you have to run a radio station, let's say you have, look at places like Rubaga. Rubaga division has over 50 candidates vying for one political seat, which is a member of parliament. Now, let's be honest. If these people had to go to a radio station like CBS and they need airtime, how could this be possible? Tell me. It's almost impossible. So we have over 2,000 people vying for political stations, for political positions, and we are sitting with 290 radio stations. So it's completely impossible that if all these people came and started to ask for airtime on your radio stations, there is no way it can be sustainable, unless we're saying that the campaigns are going to last a full year, which is impossible. So if you assume and say, no, let people use social media, let them use digital advertisement. Well, tell me, in a nation where the internet is only 50% countrywide, where do you start? Even if you say to people they should go and campaign online, still there is millions of people who will not be able to get their message because people cannot afford data, people don't have the internet. So if this election is going to be scientific, then it's already an impossibility. Thus, there is completely no way that this can happen. Talking about scientific elections, that brings us to our next topic. Now, when you look at revolutions, like the South African Revolution, you realize that one of the biggest rallies that Nelson Mandela, that was staged to free Nelson Mandela, was in London. It was in Wembley Stadium. When you look at the support when you look at the South Africans that lived in the diaspora, the Oliver Tambos, they played a very, very huge role for the South African struggle to be a success. Now, struggles always are similar, and we always learn from what the other people were able to achieve. Ours is no different. Now, that brings us to our next question, and this comes straight to you, Comrade Kingsley. How can the diaspora get more practically involved in the 2021 electoral process to ensure that NUP, or the People Power Movement, secures the victory at all levels? Comrade Kingsley, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, African Thinker, and thank you very much to our viewers who have used their time to stick around and listen to us. Now, I just want to start off by saying the role of the diaspora. Of course, the diaspora has a very important role to play in helping to see that we have change in our country. And the very first way we can help is through programs like this, and to share knowledge and to enlighten the people. Because we have had the chance to get out of our country. And I can give you an example. If you are in a country, if you are on the ground, you know, you cannot see all around you very well. But if you would just get in or if you would just climb up a little bit, you know, and look down, you have a much wider view of everything that's around you than when you are in. So that's the opportunity and chance that we people living in the diaspora have got. We have gone above a little, and we can look at Uganda and see exactly what's happening. We have this, what they call a compound view of a country, you know, a compound view of the situation and what's going on. So seeing clearly what's going on, the very first way we can contribute is by giving knowledge, is by bringing light, because Africa is a dark continent. And I can tell you, before the coming of social media and Facebook, Africa was really a dark continent. People were living in the dark. They didn't know what was going on in the world. But now the coming of social media, Facebook and all that has exposed Africans to a lot of things. They now know the things that they have a right to. Before, they didn't know them because they had not moved. Many people have not traveled to other countries. So they probably don't know how citizens are supposed to be treated. They don't know how your government is supposed to take care of you and stuff like that. They don't know their rights, you know, and obligations. But because of social media, it's a thrown light, you know, on the African continent. And now everybody knows, you know, now a lot of people can get information on Google. So the very first thing that we can do is to share as much knowledge as we can access from here, you know, to our people back home. Now, I just want to talk a little bit with reference to the two earlier questions that we had. The first, I'm going to link my submission to, for example, the people with disabilities. You know, how can they be, you know, supported, and how can they be brought forward? We have seen the total neglect. My friend Haruna has talked about it. You know, the total neglect of people with disabilities by the incumbent government. You know, and I should say it's not only a governmental issue, but it's an African thing. In Africa, when a person is disabled, very often in society they're disregarded. You know, they're people with special needs. They're actually not disabled people because they can do a lot of things. They just don't have that ability to do some things in some areas, but they can do a lot other things, you know, and they have been neglected all along, you know, and it's part of the NUP policy, you know, to help and raise people with with special needs and bring them to the forefront. We have seen that in many examples of the leader of the NUP. But I would just want to point out that in the policy that NUP is coming with is, first of all, in all buildings to include where the passage for people with disabilities, for example, the lame people, the people that cannot walk or stand, you know, and then you have people that cannot see or hear, you know, government is going to put a lot of priority in those areas, you know, and I've showed you already, one of the ways is that they're going to put passages for people who cannot move in those buildings, government offices, everywhere. That's one of the very first things that's going to be done. And another thing that is going to be done in the policy of the NUP is government is going to invest money, a lot of money, a bunch of money, you know, into the companies, you know, that would employ such people. Government is willing to support companies, you know, that would employ people who have walking disability, who have some sort of disability in the motion of their bodies, so that if you employ such a person, the government actually pays you in order to pay them a salary. In other words, those people need to be included in the economy. I just want to point out that the biggest issue that Uganda is facing right now is economy. Because without economy, nothing runs. You know, without economy, you cannot have a good healthcare system. Without economy, you cannot have a good defense, because everything revolves around money. You need money to do all these things. And the economy right now in Uganda is doing very, very poorly. And the NUP government is coming up with solutions. We remember the leader, the principal said, we're not an opposition party. We're not in opposition. We are an option. And so I'm talking about the options now. There's going to be a fund to help employ people with disabilities, and you're going to get funded in order to employ these people. That means your company is going to be paid to employ such people so that they can be included, because the more people we include in the economy, the more inclusive the economy is, the faster it will grow. Now, I will go to the second practical way of course, relating that matter to the point that my brother Donnie was speaking about. When you talk about scientific election, where does it leave people with some sort of small impairedness? You know, people who cannot see. How are they going to watch television and be able to recognize the candidates and even vote? People who cannot hear, how are they going to listen to the radio and have campaigns over radio? You can see that in this whole scientific election process, it totally cuts off those people. It's like they're not members of society. It's like they don't belong to us. But I would just like to point out, these are Ugandans just like everybody else, you know. And of course, I wouldn't want to go that side, but being a preacher, of course, we pray for them, and church has been a very good reception of people with some sort of inabilities, and we contribute a lot. But you can see the government has totally disrespected our role in society, you know, by keeping houses of worship, mosques, and everything closed up to now. And that is a very, very, very big mistake by the government of Uganda, I think, right now. They need to consider that this is a very important part of society. Faith is a very important part of society. It's a human right. And so what we're doing as the diaspora, we're giving you light. People in Uganda, listen to these things. You know, these are your rights. These are the obligations of government towards you. The government is supposed to serve you. Your leaders are supposed to serve you. In fact, you are the government. You, the people, are the government. Just because 40 million Ugandans cannot all go and sleep in the State House in Entebbe, or they cannot all be in parliament. We elect leaders, you know, and they go to represent us. So Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, I would like everybody who talks about him for our viewers to have in mind that when we talk about Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, we are talking about 40 million Ugandans, because that's who he represents. It's not him as a person. This is the people of Uganda saying that we have seen the NRM. We appreciate the good they have done, but it's 30 years and over now, and we are seeing a lot of loopholes, and their time is up. You know, in Luganda, we say that nazino bulungi akolaki avamudiro. Yeah, and any country to develop. Absolutely. Look at any country that has developed. Look how they change leadership. You know, there must be a change. There must be a government that comes, and if it does not perform, it has to be held accountable, and the people have to say when they're not satisfied with what the government is doing, and they're supposed to elect another government and hold it accountable as well. You know, that is the only way we're going to develop as a country. Even if it's a family, can you sit in the same room looking the same way and doing things the same exact way and expect different results? You cannot. I mean, it would be foolish for you to expect that you're going to have improvement while you're doing the things with the same old system, same old way, same old people. It's impossible. The country needs to move forward. And this is what we're pointing out to the government of the Republic of Uganda, that Uganda needs to move forward. There is a Uganda after Museveni. If Museveni is almost 75 years old or 80 years old or whatever, he doesn't have 30 more years on the planet. And naturally, the way God created it, the older you grow, when you get to those ages, you're supposed to be peaceful and resting. You're not supposed to be having the stress of a whole country on your mind. It's impossible that you will think as right as a boy. Museveni came to power when he was in his 40s or late 30s, for that matter. So why should they say that Bobby Wine is too young and, you know, whatever experience, what experience had Museveni had before he came to power? You know, had he had the experience of a good government? Did Uganda have, because many of them say he was in part of those governments that were leading Uganda before, but were they good governments? And was it good experience? And Ugandans have tested for themselves that it was not good experience, it was not a good government, because he has done pretty much the same things as his predecessors have done. You know, he's saying the problem of Africa is leaders who overstay in power. Now, if you get that statement and put a question, what's the problem of Uganda now? That equals to Museveni. He himself said.
Comrade Kingsley.
Absolutely.
Okay, hold on there. Does that mean that the president of Uganda, who stood at on the steps of parliament in 1986 and said that Africa's problem was because of people who overstay in power, are you then saying that the president said that in 1986 and he did exactly the same? Is that what you are saying? Are you saying that since he came into power, there is completely nothing that he has done for all these 35 years as a leader?
Absolutely, absolutely not. I'm not saying that. You know, Museveni has registered a lot of achievements, you know, since 1986 to date. But he has also registered a lot of this, how can I call them? He has done a lot of things that are not constitutional, that do not lead the country forward in a positive direction. He's committed his atrocities too, you know, just like any other person. The thing we're saying that at this point in time in his life, he's on the downward spiral. He cannot go up anymore. Biology does not support that. Heaven does not support that. I mean, look at all the kings of Israel. By the time they died, were they winning more battles and gaining more territory? David in his 80s, he was unable to fight. He was unable to gain territory for Israel. You know, so in his age, he is only spoiling his achievements by clinging onto power. And we're quoting his words. These were his words. You know, at 80 years old, I'm not going to be the same as I am now. You know, and I cannot, I mean, I got to give my children a platform. When they turn 40, when they turn 20, they got to get married. I want to see them prosper. I want to give them the way. I want to show them the way. I want to just sit back and advise them. That's exactly how Museveni needs to think about Uganda. Because if he overstays in power, he has told Ugandans what to do. The next president who's going to come is going to want to overstay in power. Why? Because Uganda has no institutions. He has put Uganda's leadership in the hands of personalities and not institutions. What we're telling all people is, when you vote a new government into power, when you vote a servant leader in Bobby Wine, he will restore the institutions of government. Because when you have institutions of government running properly without corruption and running under the rule of law, a country governs itself automatically. Laws are the most automatic way of governing a country. As long as you make sure that they are not broken, the country can run itself. Uganda is very small. It's not even the size of a county in USA. You know, Uganda is 5 times, Sweden is 8 times or 9 times Uganda, you know. And look what Sweden is. Sweden was as poor as Uganda in the 1950s. But in the space of 50 years, look where Sweden is and look where Uganda is. You know, so the thing is, the leaders of Uganda today have to think about the future of a country. If they don't want to leave the country to go, if they're breeding this sense of, when I have power, I cannot leave power. Nobody else can take power. Nobody else is capable of leading except me. That's the seed they're planting in the coming generation. So if generations come after them seeing what they're doing and repeating the same, then we don't have a country. Uganda is headed to destruction. But if they can think within themselves and see that this country has to move forward, it has a bunch of young people, we should empower them. We should encourage them. We should show them to love their country. We should show them to take up responsibility right from a childhood age, which is what the developed world is doing. Then the country will move forward. Thank you very much. Then my last submission will be so brief about the other way that we can contribute about we people in the diaspora. I think we are standing already, and we are supporting people who are on ground going. I thank all those people that have been supporting a lot of people on ground, you know, in whichever ways you're supporting them. And I'm calling upon the diaspora to keep doing the same. You know, if God has blessed you, you know, you have a little bit more than you need, you know, even if you don't have more than you need, but you have some funds that the people back home cannot access. Go to that website and donate to the movement and reach out to people back home. Get in touch with the movement. Get in touch with the party headquarters. If you want to donate anything, pastors, whatever, everything is welcome, transportation, whatever, because we're building a movement. Let me remind people, people are expecting a lot out of Bobby Wine, and that is wrong. He does not yet have government. He does not have the national treasury in his hands. Is there any leader who came to power having developed a nation before he came into office? What had Museveni done before he came to power, before he won the Bush War? So do not expect all these things from Bobby Wine telling us what has he done when he was member of parliament, or how many years has he spent as a member of parliament? 2.5 years. What can a person do in 2.5 years? Look, in 2.5 years, he has awoken an entire nation, what the government had not done in 35 years. So he's actually overperforming. That shows you that when he comes to office and he has the tools of government in his hands, he will do a much better job. That's in my thinking. I think he will do a much, much better job together with Ugandans, not alone. He's going to do it with Ugandans. In fact, it's going to be Ugandans doing a much better job once we have the tools of government. But right now, he does not have those tools, and we have to stand up as Ugandans to get together, help each other, and get there. Once we get there, then we can demand for the big things. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Comrade Kingsley. And picking up on what you just said about the principal having been a member of parliament for the past 2 years, I agree with you when you said there's nothing much that he could have done, because we're talking about a parliament that is full of NRM members of parliament that have been compromised. The same members of parliament have voted in favor of the change of the age limit. We've seen them doing that. Picking up again on what you said about the president being accommodative of people with disabilities, I think the best person to ask about people with disabilities is the president. Adding up on what Comrade Aruna said, that the president had one of his friends who was butcherman, who was a lame man, and the president was with that gentleman for so many years. So here we have a leader that has got nothing much to learn about social issues. We've got a leader that has got nothing to be taught about what is happening in society. He's been there. He's been with the people who cannot be able to lift up themselves. He has developed talent. We have seen him bringing up people on the music scenes from nowhere, topping charts. People like Kenzo, they were nobody, all the way from Masaka, and the president was able to raise up people like that. So with the current principal, who is the incoming commander-in-chief, we have no doubt. We completely have no doubt in which kind of a leader we are having, because look at what he's doing. He's been able to accommodate even people who have already shown us that they are not interested in change. Just the other day, we saw him welcoming back people like Ronald Mainja, I think here we look at a president who is able to accommodate like prodigal sons. Like, he is there to say, no, you are my prodigal son, come over, let's build our nation. Where do we stand as Ugandans right now? We are in a country that has got a failed economy, lawlessness, the rule of law has been abandoned. We are looking at a country where money is an issue. When someone is given a little bit of money, they forget about who they are. They lose their value. So here we have a president who is here to say, look here, we can do this together. We can build this together. And with the NUP in place, I want to encourage everyone who is watching us here, please go and pick up your membership card. Go and register under this movement. Here we have got the biggest hope of our lives. Here we have got a rescuer of our lives. Here we've got a nation with a leader that is ready to be able to say, look here, people, I am ready to serve you. We've been through rulers, the Idi Amin, the Owotes. Now we have another ruler. When Museveni was coming into power, our parents thought this is our hero. This is our liberator. Yet in actual sense, a dictator was coming into power to completely destroy our nation. You've spoken about people in the diaspora. It's time for people in the diaspora to come and build our nation. It's time to go back home and build our nation, because there is completely nothing that is going to stop the NUP from taking over power in Uganda. There's completely nothing that is going to bring Honorable Chagulanyi as the next commander-in-chief of the armed forces, as the next president of the Republic of Uganda. There's completely nothing that is going to stop this from happening, because when the time comes for an idea, nobody can return that. We've seen that happening. No idea whose time has come can be reversed. Completely no way. Here we are carrying an idea. We have no guns. What do we have? Comrade Kingsley, what do we have? Do we have guns?
Absolutely.
No. Microphone.
Do we have hangers? No. Here we are in a nation where we are carrying an idea. We are carrying an idea, you know, and our idea is going to get us there. They are afraid of us because of our idea. Do you hear me, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
Here, people are scared of what we possess in our heads, not in our hands. They've got guns, they've got everything. And even when they have all this, nothing can be able to stop us. When you are in the diaspora, there is a role you can play. If you are somewhere in New York, if you are somewhere in South Africa, if you are somewhere in Sweden, there is a very big role you can play. And it has worked in other revolutions like South Africa. You can donate to the movement at www.peoplepower.ug.org. Please donate to www.peoplepower.ug.org. That is the biggest role the people in the diaspora can play. We've seen so many people in the diaspora helping their revolution succeed. We saw the Association of Malawians who are living in American London, who contributed to the change of the dictator in Malawi. Same thing happened in South Africa. Comrade Kingsley, I want you to, within the next 2 seconds, I want you to give me a point on what you think of the economy of Uganda as we wait for Comrade Kyagulanyi to come in as the next president. Because as things look, it looks like he's going to find a dead economy. I want you to enlighten us there how all Ugandans have to stand up, rally behind the principle as the incoming president and build our nation. Because he's coming in with nothing, just like us. The nation has been looted. We've seen how unbudgeted money, black budgets have been given to the seven as a leader, and the NRM during the COVID, billions of shillings have been given to them. So here we're looking at people looting at the national coffers. Comrade Kingsley, in a nutshell, just try to enlighten our viewers what their role should be as the incoming president, Honorable Kyagulanyi, comes in to inherit a dead economy. Please give a message of motivation for people to rally behind the principle as he takes over power in 2021.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, African Thinker, and all the comrades who are on patiently here, and all our viewers that are still viewing us up to now. Now, I will get straight to the point. What you said actually sums it all up. The economy is a dead one right now, you know, and I'm telling you, of course, they always accuse us of over-exaggerating things, and, you know, that's what they want to portray to the world. But the thing is, when you have an economy, when you have your youthful population unemployed to that extent, you don't have an economy. Employment numbers are the economy. So if you have that high level of unemployment in an economy, let's not even get deep into economy. Uganda does not have a functioning economy. Read economics very well. Uganda is a very gifted country with natural resources. It has oil, it has gold, it has good soils, it has the best food in the world, the best weather in the world, and the youngest population in the world. Do you know what that means to have the youngest population in the world? That should be an asset. Now look at Ugandans. You know, when we talk these things, people think that we're talking exaggeration or whatever. This is not about opposition. We're now talking reality. You know, most of you live in Kampala. Most of you that are watching us are living in Kampala because you can access social media, but you only cover 10% of the population. Just go 20 kilometers off of Kampala and see how people are living. That's the majority of Ugandans. And if you have your majority population living under the poverty line, let's not even talk about economy when we're talking about the NRM government. It has totally failed, because consider the issue of time. After 35 years, if this is what you can deliver as an economy for 35, not 1 year, not 2, but 10, 20, 30, and 5 years, if this is the economy you can deliver, that is totally, we don't have an economy. So I give Ugandans a hope that this is like a building which is already on its way to crash, and it's gonna crash anyway. So let's rally behind Robert Kyagulanyi, let him dismantle the building, put it on the floor, and let's build Uganda together again.
Thank you so much, Comrade Kingsley. It's a fallen building. We need to build it together and build a nation. Comrade Haruna, in 2 seconds, please say something to our viewers as we wind up. What Uganda do you want to see as we go to the general elections? How would you want to look at the people with disabilities? What kind of a Uganda would you want to look at? Just give me that in 3 seconds.
Thank you so much, moderator. Thank you so much. But before I proceed to the kind of Uganda that I or we would like to see, let me just point a few points that some of my friends have raised. Let me just give a small hint. To me, I think the issue of saying that, okay, please, let me just utilize it. Mr. Museveni has performed or has not performed. I think that question to me, I think if I'm to give him, I'll give him like 30% out of 100%. Look, why do I say like this? If you go back in the history of Uganda, during the regime of Idi Amin Dada or Bote, the one whom he calls swine, Uganda had airlines. Where are they? Uganda had buses, 300 buses for the government. Where are they? Uganda agricultural sector was doing well. Where are they now? Cooperative unions were doing well. Where are they? So if those questions cannot come into your minds and understand and say, okay, Museveni did a great, to me, I don't think so whether he has done a lot. Because one time Idi Amin said, even if you move all over the Europe, Asia, Africa, you will never find a bank that belongs to me, an account. But recently, Mr. Museveni said, I'm not working for anyone. I'm just working for myself, my children, and my grandchildren. Is that a leader? Yet Amin said that I'm here to work for my people, for Uganda. So it's a simple logic. That's why he does it. To me, I think he has done like 20%. He has just taken Uganda back, because sometimes I ask myself and I ask my colleagues, did Museveni really save Uganda, or he saved himself and his colleagues? My answer is he saved himself and his colleagues, because Uganda has not benefited totally. Then another point, let me just talk about a little about exposure. Exposure, we are exposed. We are so lucky that for us, we have moved to different countries and we have seen how things are managed, how people are treated, how human beings, we have seen how human beings, in case someone gets an accident, how is he attended to, an ambulance takes place. You go to the medication, how when you have a job, you're employed, how much are you earning? It's so hurting. Sometimes if you find a cleaner in United Arab Emirates can earn 1 million and a soldier in Uganda is earning 300. Someone who has gone to school is educated but is earning 400. Is it fair? Yet I'm a cleaner and I'm earning 1 million, 1.1.
That was a very, very good submission. In other words, you were saying that we should wait for the new government that is going to come in, good salaries. We need a government that caters for its people. Definitely cannot be able to allow them go down to the drain. Thank you so much, Comrade Aruna. Comrade Don Charles, in a nutshell, can you please wind up on what kind of Uganda you want to see after you've discussed all the scientific elections and all the hassles that Uganda go through? In a nutshell, what kind of a Uganda do you want to see?
Yeah, thank you so much, Comrade, our moderator tonight, Mr. Kamia. First and foremost, in our conclusion, I would like to have a Uganda that is having democracy. Remember, actually, you've asked a question to Kingsley, Comrade Kingsley, where Museveni has achieved, or if he thinks Museveni has achieved a lot. Actually, for me, if you ask me that question, I will say he hasn't achieved anything at all. Why? It is just like a pregnant, it's just like a lady getting pregnant. You wait for the 9 months, you deliver, then you dump the kid in the dustbin. Will you be congratulated or praised for that?
No.
This is Museveni. He came up with the 10 points program. He talked about democracy. Is this true democracy where you are telling us we should use scientific elections? People of area, all those who are in incumbent government, they're allowed to go and campaign freely. Actually, they're even given security, but you cannot allow the opposition to go and attend a radio talk show. You cannot, you make the electoral commission under your armpits. The electoral commission will come and consult with you on the guidelines they are going to use in the whole process, in the electoral process, but other stakeholders are not consulted with. Well, is that free and fair? I want to be in a country where
you say, okay, Mr. Kamya, tugenda kudduka, naye nga tonsibye bigere. That's what I want. That's the Uganda I want. I want to live in a Uganda where you said, okay, you know what? The police is working for me, not for incumbent government only. And the message I'll give to the Ugandans, and first the Ugandans, but the Ugandan police, because before they are policemen or the security agencies, first they are Ugandans. They should not, for a more opposition, we are fighting for them.
Thank you so much, Comrade Don Charles, for that great submission as we wind up our program. So from what I've heard from you, comrades, and the incoming party, which is the NUP, from what I've gathered from some of you, it's more to say that the incoming commander-in-chief is already aware what to do for his people. He knows that if you are in Uganda, these people are into business. I have to open up opportunities for them. I have to make infrastructure. He knows that when you go to the north and the east, we have got people who participate in lots of athletics. So he knows what infrastructure to put up for those people, lifting up the nation. He knows that when he goes to Masaka, central Uganda, he knows that these are farmers, these are business people. He knows what infrastructure to put. So you're basically saying that the way things are, if the current incoming president, Honorable Kyagulanyi, is to come in as a leader, he has already displayed all this to say, look here, this is what I can do. This is what I can do for you. And there is no doubt in what he's capable of doing. Comrades, we need to realize how the regime is sitting now. It is sitting on a time bomb. The president has had such lyrics. The regime is in panic mode. You've seen how they are operating. Every day they try to create up something on the NUP. Every day they try to say something that tries to demotivate our people. And from the way things look and the effort that we're putting in, there is completely no doubt that we are going to have regime change. Even if there was a storm, even if there was the strongest storm ever, I don't see any way that we are not going to be able to achieve regime change. Comrades, I want to thank all of you who have been on this panel today. I want to thank everyone who has been viewing us today, people from the diaspora, people from Uganda, people from all the neighboring countries. I want to remind you all to be here on the media center. We'll be here at the same time, same place, on this same day. And I want to remind you to all be able to donate to the People Power Movement as we get rid of the dictator at www.peoplepower.ug.org. That is the way to go. That is the way to defeat the dictator. Comrades, I want you to sum up our program by being able to respond to the call that I'll say to you. When I say that NUP, you say everywhere. I'll say that once and we'll be out. NUP?
Everywhere.
NUP?
Everywhere.
Have a good evening. Have a good morning. Those who have been viewing us, we love you all. Bobby for president, NUP for president, NUP for leadership. God bless you all. Thank you.
Bless you too. Bless you too.